Hi there, I'm John Shields, and welcome to another episode of Chesapeake Farm and Bay to Table. We just keep on cooking here. We can't stop ourselves. So if you've been following us for a while, you know we kind of try to go with a thematic. We're getting into the fall, and when our team sat down and we got together, we were thinking, what happens in the fall? Well, it's festival time, and there's every kind of festival you can possibly imagine. You know, you got your apple festivals, the pumpkin festivals, you go on hay rides. But I thought I might just go to one of my favorite festivals that happens every year, and it's the U.S. Oyster Festival. So you get that kind of connection. We got some really good cooking kinds of things to go on with that. So we headed down to St. Mary's County for the U.S. Oyster Festival, and it was the 56th year. They've been doing this for quite some time, and people from all over the country come. And about 43 years ago, they started a cooking competition. I'm fortunate enough for quite a number of years now to be asked to come down to judge that cooking competition. So we rolled the whole thing together to make a wonderful episode for you this evening and some great food, and I'm very excited. Now, I do have something I'm not so excited about, and I'm a little sad. Mary, my executive sous chef, who's also the CEO of Harford County Public Libraries, can't be with us this evening. She's a little under the weather, so I sort of have her right here with me. And so we have Mary in spirit. She's going to be cooking in spirit with us this evening. So Mary, we had the best time. We went down a day ahead of the cooking competition, and we went to a friend of mine's place. It's called No Time to Cook, and it's Gwyn Novak. And it's on Solomon's Island. It is the coolest cooking school you've ever seen in your life. It's absolutely beautiful. So Mary, do you remember when we were down there? Let's take a look.
Hi, Mary, welcome.
Thank you, it's so great to be here.
So good to have you. And welcome back, John.
It's great to see you.
You
great
too.
to see you.
You too.
And we're back here at No Time to Cook.
Yeah, it's been a couple years.
Yes, it has been a couple years, but we're ready to get back to the U.S. Oyster Festival.
Yes, indeed.
Because we have some judging to do.
Oh, yes, you do.
It's a hard job, but you know, I think we're up for the task, right?
It's important work.
Yeah.
Important work. And thanks so much for having us down
My
here.
pleasure.
Mary and I have been talking about this for a while. We're very excited about it. And you know, every time I come down here and I'm driving down the street to get here, I keep looking out at the views, the vistas. And Solomon's Island, it is amazing.
It is a gorgeous little island. It's tiny, as you probably almost saw. You drove all the way around it and don't blink kind of thing. But it used to be a waterman's community. There's still some of that happens here. Yeah. But it's kind of become this little vacation spot now. Yeah. And every view out of every window here is either of the harbor or the river or the bay. Yeah. So it's not a terrible place to be.
Not so bad.
No.
And it has a lot of history, you know, within the context of the Chesapeake.
It does.
So refresh my memory. Tell me a little bit about No Time to Cook.
Yeah, so we started No Time to Cook back in 1999 as a personal chef service. So I'd come to your house and we talk about what you like to eat, what you didn't like to eat. I'd design a menu for you, do all the grocery shopping, come to your house and prepare 2 weeks worth of meals. Wow. And that was awesome until the economy tanked in 2008 and nobody had room in their budget for a chef anymore. So I took a little hiatus, and then a couple years after that I started teaching cooking classes out of my house, and then we moved down to this beautiful location, which has been in my family for now I'm the 4th generation, and we've been here since 2018, and then the original place burned down in 2006. And so we sort of, kept this piece and decided we would rebuild this, very reminiscent of my grandmother's home. And so I'm the 4th generation in our family to have a food business here. We offer recreational cooking classes, so things like hands-on pasta we have happening downstairs tonight. Sushi, we have a bourbon tasting tomorrow night. We do culinary tours. I just came back from Kentucky, the Bourbon Trail. We've been to Normandy. We just do anything that's fun and foodie, we
Yeah.
do it here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
So the culinary tradition continues.
That's the plan.
Well, and that's what we're going to do all weekend.
Yes.
Culinary treats.
Exactly. I have an amazing dinner prepared for you guys. Are you hungry?
I am,
Okay.
always.
We are.
Good.
All right, let's see.
Okay, let's
Come
do it.
on, Let's go. Well, as you can see from that, we had like the best time. Not only the best time, because it was a beautiful night, standing out on the deck, and oh my God, I loved it. The food was incredible. So I don't know what to tell you, except you're going to have to go down there yourself and go down to Solomon's Island and have a little bit of a vacation. Well, speaking of vacations, I took someone away from her whole life of a vacation on Solomon's Island, and she's here with us tonight. The owner of No Time to Cook, Chef Gwyn Novak. Come on in. Hey, honey.
Hi, sweetheart. It's so nice to be in Baltimore. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It was just like yesterday
Right?
almost.
Pretty much.
Yeah. We had the best time.
Thank
we
you for
really
coming
did.
down.
And thank you so much for having us down there.
Anytime.
And it was
Anytime.
It was fun, wasn't it?
It was a great evening. It was a great weekend.
Yeah, the
honestly,
whole weekend
right?
was at
Oysters,
and oysters. We love the oysters. We did. Towards the end, it was getting to be almost a little too much.
Oh, yeah.
Just a little too
Yeah.
much. So we were having to balance it, you know. How do you balance oysters? Saltines?
Ham,
Chicken.
Yeah.
We were trying to put some
Anything-
things together, you know, to make it all work.
Yeah.
So, but since we went to an oyster festival and since we judged an oyster festival, we figured tonight's episode is going to be about oysters.
Makes sense to me.
As much as possible.
Right.
You know, we will have a little hooch at the end just because I know you like it. They do. Everybody does.
You know,
They
we
really
don't,
do.
but
We
they
don't,
do.
but they do.
So we're doing it for them.
So, so the first recipe that we're going to do here is one from
It's one of mine.
One of your very own.
Well, believe it or not, there was a time when I didn't love oysters.
Yeah?
So my husband is a commercial waterman. He would bring them home all the time. And I was like, I have got to come up with a way to prepare these things that I enjoy. So these are all of my favorite things on top of an oyster. So there's bacon, there's butter, there's brandy, there's thyme, and cheese, Parmesan cheese.
Well, you can't go wrong with all that.
I think you're right.
Generally, if you put bacon and cheese on something, it's going to be good.
Amen.
Am I right?
Yes.
All right. So what do we start with? I think
The oysters.
probably oysters.
Right.
So we have some beautiful oysters here.
Exactly.
And here, let's pull these up a little bit so that you can do your magic with those. We get all kinds of different oysters. We have chop tank oysters, and then we have, which is obviously from the Chop Tank River.
Right.
And then we have Bevan's oysters, which are from Virginia. And we usually get kind of a combo for people to try different things because obviously as you go further down,
It gets saltier.
it's saltier. And
Exactly.
you know, some people like a sweet oyster, some prefer, you know, the briny or saltier thing.
Yeah. Now, can you tell the difference where they're from, John, just by tasting it? Are your taste buds that attuned?
They're not that attuned, but
Me neither,
what they can tell, I can tell if they're from up the chop tank
versus
or how far down they are. So I can kind of get like I have like a 3 oyster range, you know, not so salty, a little bit salty, and damn, that's salty.
Well, we're going to add a little bacon to them. So if you
Okay.
get oysters that are a little on the fresher side, my grandmother used to always say things were fresh when they didn't have enough salt, which kind of makes sense when you think about it. She came from a waterman family, and so we always add salt when things are fresh. But we're going to add some bacon. That's going to bring some saltiness to them. So do you want me to just start laying it on here? This is a very easy dish too.
Yeah.
So literally, you know, if cooking is not your thing, but you want to create a really lovely appetizer, then this is the one for you, because we're putting uncooked, just chopped bacon on it. We're going to add a little bit of this fresh thyme because at no time to cook.
No time
We
to cook.
can't do anything without
you
get what we're doing here.
Yeah.
You've got to add a little bit of fresh thyme. If you have dried, that's fine too.
Yeah.
Just go a little bit later on that. A little bit of pepper.
Nice.
And then we're going to add a little bit of brandy. Is it
Yeah,
okay if I
use your
just,
fingers. Yeah.
we're chefs, right? That's
We're
what we
chefs.
do.
Chefs
Just
can
gonna
do
add
that.
A little bit of that.
In your own home, I don't know what to tell you, but here, this is how we do.
And then everybody gets a little hunk of butter
Yeah.
because everything's better with butter.
Okay. Well,
And bacon.
Yeah, we talked
and
about.
brandy
We did talk
and-
about the bacon and the cheese, and we
exactly.
forgot the butter.
Well,
Yeah.
so we're just going to pop these in, say, a 400-degree oven for 5-6 minutes until the
Right.
oysters start to curl and the bacon cooks.
Just starts to cook through.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't want hard oysters.
Yeah.
And then we'll throw a little bit of parm on top.
Okay.
Give them another 20 seconds, and they're done.
Finish it off.
Yeah.
Do you ever do any kind of variations on this? Do you play with this at all?
All the time. Sometimes if we're feeling really fancy, instead of bacon, we'll do
Yeah.
prosciutto
Oh,
on it, or
yeah.
a little pecorino romano is lovely.
Yes.
Or you can vary the herbs, but you don't want anything too overpowering.
Right.
You want that oyster to sing,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You want to get that flavor. So that's very cool. So we'll just put that in.
Okay.
Maybe you can just drop that
You
in
got
over
it.
there. That's lovely.
Want me to put it in the oven?
Okay,
Okay.
great. And then let me get you a thing here.
The magic of
The
television.
magic
Yes.
of the television.
We happen to have.
Here, I'll move this out of the way. We can put that right there so the world can
these
see
guys. Yep.
how
Yum.
yummy
And then
they
if
look.
you wanted to be an extra pretty, you could throw a little more of the
We'll put some of the thyme on it.
fresh thyme because green makes
Yeah.
everything prettier, or parsley if you don't have it.
Exactly.
And yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Was one of the things that we often do when we're baking oysters, whether you're doing a Rockefeller or something like this, usually put a bed of either rock salt down
Yeah.
or some kosher salt.
Exactly.
So that the oysters have a little bed to sit
Yeah.
in and they don't tip
Right,
over.
right, because you don't want all those lovely juices that you've just created to sort
Yeah.
of slide off of the oyster.
And you know what I was thinking about with this, because we're getting into the holiday season, and obviously around Thanksgiving or Christmas, when you have a lot of people coming over. I have a lot of friends that actually shuck oysters the whole
Yep.
night for people.
Ooh, those are good friends.
Or they hire somebody
Yeah.
to shuck oysters the whole night
Yeah, right.
for people.
Right.
And, there's always a line. And this could be really good too, because you could make sheet pans ahead
Absolutely.
of lots and lots of them and just put one in after another.
Exactly.
And I think people would eat these kind of like peanuts.
Yeah, they're kind of addictive.
yeah, they would go.
But you make a good point. So if you don't have a good friend who is
Yeah.
there to shuck oysters, we have done this too, where you get oysters. We have a great local source or a waterman, and you get the shells, run them through your dishwasher, so they're beautifully sanitized and clean. And the next time, buy a quart of oysters, and then you can plop the oysters in.
Very nice
and
idea.
Do the same preparation.
That's
Yeah.
a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. No, people really come around with oysters. They get really excited
Yep.
about it.
Yeah.
One year I went to a holiday party with a bunch of people. I knew some of them, but I didn't know very many people.
Sure.
So I brought a huge tub of oysters, set up a little table in the back,
Yeah.
and started chucking. I met everybody.
I bet you had a lot of friends.
They just
at
came
the
over
end of that
and
party.
You met tons of people.
Right.
So anyway, that's really, pretty much
That's it. Super simple,
what it is.
delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great appetizer.
So this is easy. So we're going to go from easy to not 100% easy,
Yeah.
So we're going to let's clear this up,
Okay.
and we're going to go on for a new one.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Well, Gwyn, again, we are tasked with many oyster recipes this evening.
It's a tough
correct?
job.
Tough job.
We're up for it though. I feel it.
But what I was thinking, we're very close to the holiday season.
Yep.
And every year I get all kinds of calls. Well, what should I do with this? Which I wanted to do a Thanksgiving 911 number that they can call. It's like, John, what do I do?
Right.
But one of the questions is always about stuffing or dressing.
Yes.
Right?
All the time.
They
All
always
the
want to
time.
know about the stuffing or the dressing, and I do too. And I think it's always been confusing. What is a stuffing and what is a dressing?
Right. Stuffing, literally, I think it just gets stuffed in the bird,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah.
dressing it's going to be prepared outside of the
It
bird.
can be
which
outside
is
of the bird.
safer,
Yeah.
tastier, I think.
It
I know that. I hope I'm not causing a big ruckus
Yeah.
here because there are lovers and haters on both sides.
Exactly.
But I like the dressing.
Yes.
Yeah, which is what we're going to make today.
That's what we're
right?
going to do.
Yeah.
So we're going to make, obviously, an oyster dressing and cornbread.
Yeah.
Now, I've done this quite a number of different ways, different variations. Sometimes I use like brioche bread that I've cut and cubed and let go stale a little bit and toast it and make a stuffing dressing with that.
Yeah.
But one of the really traditional ways around our area, our neck of the woods, as it were, is a oyster cornbread stuffing. Yeah, isn't that cute?
It's adorable.
Little baby cornbread.
This is from your first cookbook,
It
right?
is,
Which
it
I
is.
adore that book.
So yeah, that's one that I used for a long time. I started using that out in California in my Chesapeake restaurant out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little taste of the East Coast.
Yeah. And it's called the 2 o'clock Club cornbread.
2 o'clock club?
Yeah.
There must be a story there.
There is. There was an exotic dancer down there that I got the got the recipe from.
Her grandmother's cornbread recipe.
Trixie Shine. God love her.
Okay. We'll talk more about that later.
We're going to go into that later. So anyway, we have a lot of butter.
Yes.
A lot of butter.
Loving it.
And we're just going to start our sauteing process. We want to do onions.
All
You can
the
grab a little
traditional.
Celery there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab some of
The
that
traditional
here.
Thanksgiving
And
yumminess.
Then we'll put some little bit of carrots in there. Okay.
They're also beautifely diced.
Absolutely. That's the way we want to do it, right?
Cooks evenly.
So let's get this thing cooking here. So basically, really all we have to do first is sort of sweating the onions and getting things just softened a little bit. You don't want them to go to mush. At least I don't. I like
Agreed.
it to have a little bit of integrity and crunch in there as we're doing it.
It's that sweet spot between too soft and too hard, right? Yeah, because they're going to spend some time in the oven
Exactly.
too, so you don't want to overcook them.
So we're going to be, essentially flavoring it with a couple of different components.
Okay.
All the vegetables.
Yep.
A little bit of bacon.
Again with the bacon,
Yeah,
yes.
with the bacon. We're going with the bacon again.
Excited.
Once again. And one of the reasons, when you were talking about the idea of dressing and making it on the cider separate, I have so many family members who really do not like oysters.
Yeah.
There's just some of them don't like oysters. So I like to make multiple dressing stuffings so that when I'm putting that on the table, there's something for everybody.
Exactly. My mom's a sausage dressing connoisseur. She makes a killer Thanksgiving sausage.
I like that very, very much. Do you ever put any fruit, nuts? What else do you put in it?
No, she doesn't. But she's gotten to the point now where she bakes them in the little muffin tin so that everybody gets that crunchiness on the outside. I appreciate that.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
That's really, really smart. Okay, can you smell it?
I can.
I can smell it now.
Smell-o-vision. Smells so good.
We got to get Mary. Mary, look at this. I miss Mary so much.
So
She's with
sad.
us
She's not here.
Every show. She'll be back. Don't worry. She's watching us. Okay, there we go. Now I'm gonna just take some of the bacon, and it's pretty much already chopped, crumbled.
Yeah. Now, if you didn't have it already cooked, you could have started with that, right? I suppose, and cook that down, and then.
Yeah, and then you kind of get that combination of butter and bacon fat.
Yeah.
Yes.
For that really healthy
For
Thanksgiving.
that healthy Thanksgiving. Yep. Make it extra special. All right. Lovely. All right.
So I was reading about oysters today. Did you know that an oyster can filter 50 gallons of water an hour? Is that astronomical?
That's insane.
That's really insane, right?
That is.
It's the equivalent of you in the shower for 10 minutes, apparently. 50 gallons.
And people don't always realize how important
They
oysters are to the health of the bay.
That's exactly right.
Back 100, 150 years ago, the number of oysters in the bay could filter the entire bay within 2 days.
That's amazing.
The entire bay.
Yeah.
Takes a little longer now.
A lot.
Like a lot longer.
I was actually just reading today that 3 new oyster restoration projects have just been completed in southern Maryland. So,
oh yeah?
Yeah, that's great news for the oysters and the bay.
Important. I mean, it's a great culinary tradition, but it's also important to the health of the bay.
Exactly.
It really is. All right, so we have some beautiful shucked oysters.
Yeah.
There's some shuck selects right now. And we're going to put those in right there. And so if you kind of saw, there was a little bit of liquor on the bottom there. That's the oyster liquor. And it's sort of like an amazingly strong stock flavoring component.
You want that.
Yeah. So we're not going to have to cook these very much at all. Just going to put a little bit in here. Start stirring them around because we don't want to overcook the oysters.
Right, but like you said, you're adding them at the end because you do want a little bit of cook on them because a raw always, again, they'll bake, but it'll really change the texture by
it would.
cooking them a little.
So you do want to get a few minutes in here just until they start to cook a little tiny bit. But it does give, that oyster liquor gives it such an amazing flavor.
Yes.
And it sort of goes throughout everything.
So you better like oysters for this recipe.
All right, so how about a little bit of sherry?
All right.
Come on. Do we have well, it says.
Just glug, glug, glug.
It says,
you know.
it says a half a cup, but we're going to go like that.
That's perfectly
measured.
measured.
That feels it.
Perfectly measured, yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's amazing, like, my grandmother, probably your grandmother, it was so intuitive. Cooking was intuitive because they did it every single day.
Exactly.
And you could just feel how much you needed to put in, Well,
it's funny when my grandmother, when I was trying to learn some of my favorite recipes of hers, and I said, well, how much, as a chef, you're like, how much is in it? And she's like, I don't know, honey, you just do it. And so I would actually have her put it in my hand before she put it in the dish so I could get a sense of how much it is. So much like
and did you measure any of it at
Not
that
after
point?
that,
No?
but then I got a good, idea. So.
Yeah, I mean, you do. You can just get, feel. But I mean, recipes are very important while you get to know the dish.
Right.
Then you can kind of play with it, but that's really what you need.
Yeah, we always say they're guidelines. They're not the 10 commandments, chiseled into stone. Use what you like, use what you have, and adjust the flavors the way you like it.
I think that's pretty.
It's beautiful.
We could just eat that.
We could,
but
I
mean, so anyway,
we have this cornbread.
Yeah, so I made the cornbread a little bit earlier and let it get. You want to have some?
Yeah.
Here, I have some. Let's pull it.
Let's
pull it apart. So we'll just take it and crumble it, really. And I generally do it like about a day ahead.
So it gets a little stale.
And you can use whatever your favorite cornbread recipe is.
Yeah.
You don't need to use the 2 o'clock club version. You can use whatever you like. I mean, you can even get a store-bought cornbread. Just let it cut if you're not into it, or if your nerves are bad and you have to really you gotta move this along. You could do that. All right, here we go. Ooh.
Oh my goodness. This is beautiful, John.
Look at this. Oh
my
God.
I'm loving this. Beautiful.
Ooh.
All right, I'll give this a stir.
All right, so you stir that on up. I'm gonna get this. That's looking good, huh?
Yeah.
And it smells good.
It really does.
So the idea with this, I was, kind of joking around about the ratios. There was about a half a cup of that liquid plus the liquid from the oysters.
Right.
And so the idea is we want to get this, that it's not too wet, but it is moist.
Yep.
So that as it bakes, if for some reason you felt that this was a little too moist, all you have to do, take a little bit more.
Oh, good thinking. Yeah.
Cornbread. It's better to go with a little less to start.
Right.
You can always add some more. You always can add some more. You go right ahead.
Keep on going. And then we're going to put it in your prepared dish, right?
We will.
Okay.
So you could put this in a number of different things, like a square Pyrex if you wanted. I kind of like doing it as a loaf, and then you can kind of slice down. Yeah. So there we go.
Oh my goodness. Yumminess.
That's good enough to eat, isn't it?
Better be, right? Oops, I almost got it in the
That is perfect.
hand there. It fits right in there.
It fits right in that thing.
Look at that.
So basically what I would do at this point is maybe put a little bit of aluminum foil over there, put it into an oven about 350.
Yep.
And it could go for about 30, 35 minutes, just till it's heated nice and through.
Right.
And then start serving.
Yeah. Do you take the lid off? Do you take the foil off at the end just to kind of get?
And then you can get it a little brown on the top.
Okay. We pop it in the oven?
And we can pop that in the oven, and there we go. So I think that we did a pretty good job with that.
Crushed it. Good job.
So there you go. Another oyster recipe, and you're getting ready for the holidays.
Yeah.
So let's go back just a little bit. We were coming up with a bunch of recipes that we had and that we liked, but we had a pretty important job just a little while ago, didn't we?
It is a difficult job, but we get to judge the National Oyster Cook-Off every year. So 3 categories: appetizers, soups and stews, and main dishes. 3 entries in each. So we were pretty full by the end, but we were kind of, bowled over by one particular soup.
Well, why don't we take a look and this way we can take you down the Oyster Festival and you can see exactly how we judged. All right, Gwen, are you ready to judge?
I am so ready. I look forward to this all year long.
Me too.
How about you, right?
Me too.
Yes.
Judging the U.S. Oyster Festival Cook-Off is like unbelievable.
It is. It is so much fun. And I just am amazed at the variety of ways that people come up with to cook oysters. Soups and stews, first of all. Then we have the main course. And then there's the appetizer as well. I missed the appetizer,
You got the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm ready. Let's get going.
Let's eat. You ready? You hungry?
Yeah, I got to settle my stomach before we hit those oysters tomorrow.
Let's do it.
Okay. That was fun.
Right?
I had a good time.
Me too. I'm full after that.
I'm full. It's hard. Those people spend so much time and energy and effort, to come down for that cook-off. And,
They do. And just think of the recipe, to develop a recipe and then refine it. Yeah. And then they come from far away, as the winner of this dish did.
Exactly.
From Pennsylvania.
See, every year they do a cookbook, a little cookbook from the cook-off. And this year, the winner, at least for this the soup thing, was Lisa Keys, and she's from Pennsylvania. Yeah. And it was a beautiful, creamy Maryland oyster potato leek soup with bacon and chives.
It was gorgeous. It was extra silky in its consistency. She did a fabulous job with that. Yeah. And the flavor was amazing.
And I think it was because she did some classic techniques.
She did.
On making the soup.
She had to have.
She really did. Yeah. Because it was so, the precise nuance and the texture, everything was just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it was just elegant.
Yeah.
And so we chose it for that category as the winner, but also as the overall presentation winner.
It was simple, but beautiful.
It really was.
It really was. All right, so we're going back to some of our basics that you've seen us working with so far this evening.
Yep.
Butter.
Butter.
We have the butter. So if you're going to do a potato leek soup, that is one of the cruxes of the thing. So we have onions, we have leeks, we have the whole enchilada.
Yep.
So I'm sure most of you have seen a leek. One of the things that Gwen and I wanted to talk to you about a little bit real quickly. Gwen, you can throw those in if you want. Then we'll talk to them about the leeks.
Yeah, leeks I think scare people a little bit.
They do.
They're big, they're kind of woody a little bit, they can be.
Yeah, and I think people are a little bit, put off by them sometimes. Also, and you can see this right here, there's kind of like
sand.
And dirt.
dirt, mud
Yep.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's sort of how the leeks grow, but they're absolutely wonderful. So what you want to do is when you take the leeks apart, you want to soak them. I mean, I cut them into big pieces and then I put them in cold water,
Right.
let them sit, and any of the sand just settles to the bottom.
Exactly. Because we're going for a very elegant soup presentation.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want in this gorgeous soup is to have, crunchy bits of
A little
sand.
grit,
right?
would not go so well. So all right, let's get cooking here. All right, I'm going to turn this up. All right, so we have leeks and then we have onions. So as you can tell, this is going to be kind of an oniony sort of soup we're going to have here
Yeah.
today.
And leeks, if people aren't familiar with them, are a very mild, almost onion
Yes.
flavor.
Yeah, it is definitely in that flavor.
Yeah.
But there's so many things that you can do with them. Obviously, you can put them in a soup, but you can braise them,
Yep.
which is really nice.
Yep.
I've taken them after I've washed them real good, put them together, and put prosciutto around them.
Yum.
Sear it off, a little chicken stock, but
Yeah.
oh my God, so good. So there's a lot to do, with leeks.
So again, you're just trying to sweat these down,
Yes,
get them nice and translucent.
right. That's all. That's kind of really all we want to do here.
There's a theme here today, John. Are you seeing there's a lot of butter? There's a lot of bacon.
There is. We just can't help ourselves, can we? So we're going to let this go down here like so. But generally, I always think this is like a potpourri whenever you have butter and an onion, or better, bunion on the onion, the
Bacon, yes.
and the thing is
Right.
like, oh my God, it makes the whole kitchen smell so good.
Yes,
It
if you want
really
people
does.
to think you're really doing something,
Yes,
just
yes.
get that going on the stove.
Yeah, they say, oh my God, they're cooking. They're really cooking over there. All right, good. So we have that in there. We're going to let that sweat, just for a couple of minutes. And then we can put a lid on that just for a second, get the whole thing all to come together, soften up just a touch.
Yeah.
Generally, when I'm getting the potatoes done, I just use, like a russet potato.
Yeah.
I want to cut them into chunks about yay big.
Right.
You don't have to do anything precise with this because we're going to blend it.
Puree it.
And
Yep.
the whole thing. So, but, if you can get it relatively consistent, they'll cook similar
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
whole way through. So that's a good way to do that.
And the russets are nice because they're going to cook down and they're really going to break down a red skin potato, not the potato you want for something like this.
For sure. So, okay,
Now, in this dish, the way it was presented to us,
Yes.
this gorgeous soup,
Yeah.
and then the contestant put in 4 poached oysters.
correct.
But we're going to do something a little bit different.
And it could be
right?
like that.
It
So
could
at the
be.
end, they could just float them in and let them cook
Yep.
a little bit.
Yep.
But Gwen and I are doing a variation on a theme because we can.
We can, because, that's the way she wrote it. Chefs just can't do it the way the recipe is written, right?
We can never do anything quite the way the people
Because we
do
thought
that.
it would be really fun to sort of have a variety of textures. So you have
Exactly.
this luxurious, silky soup,
Yeah.
but what if you had a fried oyster
crispy,
with it, right?
crispy fried oyster.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm feeling very good about these onions and leeks right
Good.
now. So I'm just gonna put my hands in this and get these potatoes in here real quick like. And then we can start seasoning some stuff up
Okay.
as well. We have, I believe, chicken stock. Do we
We
know?
do. It's right here.
Maybe we put
Yep.
put some of the chicken stock in while I put my potato.
Okay.
Lovely. Here we go. Okay. There we go. So I'm just going to put in there a little bit of salt
Okay.
right now. The recipe calls for salt and white pepper.
White pepper.
So the idea here is this is such an elegant soup that you don't want often for most soups, we'll put some freshly cracked black pepper.
Yep.
But that isn't what you want on this. You want this to be just like beautiful, clear.
You don't want to see those, as much as I adore black pepper.
Yeah.
You don't really want to see those specks of black in this beautiful soup.
Exactly. All right, so we get that in there. I think you're going to put a little bit of nutmeg in there as well.
And a little bit of this goes a long way too.
It does, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And that's something, as always, you can add a little bit more later if you think it needs a little bit more. I always try to err with a less of everything, whether it's the salt, whether it's any of the seasonings, because you can always add a little bit more later.
Yeah, you don't want this to taste like nutmeg.
No.
You want it to be sort of in the background going, there's something interesting happening there. What is it?
What is that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do this, and I'm going to let that go. So, all right, so we're doing soup. We're doing a stew. You know, we've been on soup, stews.
Yep.
What are some of the other things that you all do down at No Time to Cook? What kind of classes do you have?
We have a wide variety of classes. So pasta, you saw that earlier, is our most popular class by far. People can't wait to get their hands in pasta. We do fresh sushi, Spanish tapas. We do sourdough bread. We have a whole baking series. We also do culinary tours. We're actually heading to Oktoberfest in Munich next September.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we'll be in Germany, Austria, Switzerland for 9 days. So if you want to come with us, check out our website.
Yeah.
And then you and I are talking about maybe
doing a little thing.
Teaming up.
We might take a little trip ourselves, and
you
can come along.
Yeah.
So, like, people go to the website, it's No Time.
No
to
Time.
Thyme. Now, we want you to go to the culinary Thyme. Thyme.
Exactly.
No Time to Cook. It's a great site. It really is.
Thank you.
And I'm really happy. Like, I signed up for your newsletter and get one once a week. And it's got all kinds of things and recipes, so I love it.
Yeah, we do mixology, classes, we do bourbon pairings, wine tastings.
Whoa.
It's a good time.
It is a good time. And it's also absolutely lovely.
And then you can stay with us, too. We have an Airbnb on our chef's loft. Is the third floor overlooking Solomon's Harbor. So, it's when you come we give you a discount on your classes.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds good. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to let this simmer and cook.
Okay.
It needs to cook for about 20 minutes until the potatoes actually get soft enough that we can puree them, and there we go.
So
all right, we'll just let this one sit.
I love it.
All right, it's time for garnish.
Yes.
We are going to garnish this soup the way we want it.
Best garnish ever.
Fried oysters.
Yes, sir.
So fried oysters are one of my favorite things, and having a restaurant, people go crazy for them all the time, and they keep saying, how do you do that? It's so simple. So we're going to show you right now how to do it. Easy peasy. All right, we have right here flour. Okay,
just all-purpose, right?
All-purpose, about a cup.
Okay.
And then right there you have some lovely cornmeal. Beautiful. And then we're just going to mix that around. So you have a half and half ratio. If you need to do more, you need to do less. All you need is a half and half ratio. Okay, now we're going to put some salt in there. It takes about, for that amount, about a tablespoon of salt, right? And then we're going to have entice with spice kind of a thing of Old Bay. Now, people use Old Bay for everything around here, crabs, chicken, anything. Bloody Marys, you add it into that too. So
it's Maryland thing.
So this is going to take about a tablespoon of that as well.
Expertly measured.
Yes, and I heard that now there are some plastic cans of Old Bay, and then there used to be tins. What are you thinking?
It sounds the same, but this looks like a tin.
It looks like a tin. I don't know. But anyway, you're going to have to judge for yourself. Get out there and figure out. Pepper, some freshly ground pepper there.
This is going to be good and flavorful.
It is. It has a lot of flavor. And again, it's just pretty darn simple. All right, so we have some vegetable oil in a frying pan here. It's getting kind of hot. Let me just grab over here, get myself a little water, and I'll just give.
That's how you know.
It's starting to sound like a frying kind of thing. All right, we'll get those things out of the way.
Okay.
And now we are going to, now you could say coat the oysters, But in our vernacular, we say dredge the
them,
oysters.
which makes sense when you're talking about oysters.
Oysters, right?
Yeah.
We're going to dredge our oysters.
You want me to do a
in our
multiple?
batter. Yeah, we put a few of those in there.
Okay. We're going to leave the liquor in the other bowl.
So
I
Gwen,
love this
There's a
dredge.
number of different ways to do this. You
Okay.
could do it right in an egg wash first.
Yep.
And then in flour, seasoned flour.
Right.
Correct?
Yes.
So the egg wash usually is there to help coat, right?
Yeah.
I feel like my egg wash is this oyster liquor.
I love it.
And I don't need much of anything else. So I just take it and toss them quite a number of times around, like so.
Yeah, this is brilliant because I waste a lot of time going through seasoned flour,
Yes.
egg wash, and then whatever the crusty, crunchy bit is. So I cannot wait to try these.
Yeah, so really, and I always take and kind of shake off the excess.
Sure.
I don't want a lot of crust stuff on there.
Yep.
Look at that. Okay, come on, let's go.
Let the oyster speak for itself, right?
Yeah, we're gonna have a grand time.
And we were waiting for that oil to get good and hot.
And I think we're just about there,
I think
don't
we're
you?
there. Because if it's not hot enough, then
Yeah.
those oysters absorb all that oil and
Right.
it's not crunchy and yummy.
Whoop.
Yeah, careful.
That's the hot stuff.
And if you're nervous about putting your hands that close to hot oil, you could always use tongs.
You
right?
could.
Yeah.
I mean, sensible people probably would. Look at this.
Beautiful.
Look at that.
Gorgeous.
I mean, really.
And so easy. I think you've changed my life, John. And we're just looking for them to get golden brown.
Yep.
And then you're going to, right on the paper towel.
And that really is all there is to it. So you can keep, cooking these, put them on, and then we're going to put them in the oven for just a second to...
Right, so you don't have to do them right at the last minute when you're serving them. But just get them in that nice hot oven. Don't cover them.
No.
Otherwise, they'll steam, and then it'll take away all that yummy crunchiness.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Beautiful.
Shut this off here before I burn the house down.
Call the fire department.
Which are
Comes for dinner.
Which I've been known to do,
We've all done it.
There we go. So there we go. Yeah. So they were very simple, what we call single fried oysters. All right, so I'm going to get rid of this here and get us a little bit there. So maybe, V, could you grab that for us and get that out of the shot? Thank you. Be real careful with that. Okay. All right, so we're going to wash this up real quick, and then we can finish this soup.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, here we go. Get everything off. And we're going to quickly finish the soup. Bring that over here.
Ooh.
And then I think we have this all ready to go. We are going to do a little immersion blender magic here.
Best tool in the kitchen after your chef's knife,
kitchen.
right?
It is really important.
Because without this, you'd have to put it in a blender, cool it down a little bit so it doesn't explode. But not with this guy. You could just puree the entire thing in this one pot. Same pot. One pot cooking.
One pot cooking. Here we go. I love one pot cooking.
Me too.
Because it's easier cleanup,
I
isn't
tell
it?
you what, love the cooking, hate the cleanup part.
So here we go. Look at that.
You just have to be careful to make sure it stays in the pot.
Right. Yeah, it kind of gets away from you now and then. And then I think we have a nice little bowl.
We do. Want me to grab them?
Yeah, you want to grab that.
Oh, yep.
And we have a strainer. And I think this is the secret of this particular soup, is it not? And what you liked so much about it during the cooking competition.
Yeah, was the texture.
Was the texture of the soup.
Because, you could stop at this point after you puree it. But if you want to take it to that next elegant level, you need to strain it.
And that's exactly what they did with that. And that is kind of more the classic French technique at that point.
To make it as challenging as you possibly
That's right. We like to make it challenging.
And anybody can do easy.
Exactly.
Right? And,
All right. So I'm going to put that over there, get that out of the way. And we're going to just take our nice roasty, toasty, hot soup.
Yep.
You move back.
Okay.
I don't want to hurt anybody here. Okay.
Beautiful.
Look at that. And now we can just take, I guess, and push through here.
Yep.
Shut this off here.
Is it coming through?
Yep.
Oh,
it's
look
coming
at
through.
that. Gorgeous. And then you're
Yeah.
not going to throw these bits away on the top, right?
No, absolutely not. So you're just going to keep pushing the whole thing through, and then I'll show you what happens after you've done that, which is very cool. All right, let's get our finished one here. And you're pushing.
Let's take
So
its
this
time.
gives you your exercise
Yeah,
of
right?
pushing. And we're going to put that right there.
You know, if you didn't
Thank
have an immersion blender, you could use a food mill.
You could.
Too, right? If you wanted to go kind of old school with
You
it.
could, and you could actually, if you really wanted to, you could put in like a food processor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes I feel like when you do that the potatoes get a little too starchy.
Agreed.
And they kind of freak out on you a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically what we're doing, as we push this through, then you're going to add just a little bit of half and half to that.
Heavy
right?
cream would be nice too,
Heavy
don't you
cream
think?
is even more delicious. And that's pretty much what we have right there.
Yeah.
So let me grab some bowls. Move our oysters here, like so. And I do believe I have a ladle here. So we're just going to take and put some of our soup in there.
Yum.
And there's some bacon in there.
If
We're
you
going to add a little
insist.
bit more to the top, like so. And then little bacon, like we like. We do like that
We
bacon.
love bacon.
Put a little bit more bacon in
It's
there.
appeared in
And
every-
then I think you have
we have
some
a little
herbs de Provence.
Provence,
Yeah, from Max Degrees over at the 32nd Street Farmers Market. They do lovely spice blends. So we're going to do some classic French herbs de Provence.
Love it. But if you didn't have them, chives. would
Chives
be
are beautiful.
Fabulous on top
Chives
of
work
this.
very, very nicely.
Yeah.
So there we go. We have our lovely soup.
Should we-
And then, shall we?
Yes,
All right. Let's garnish this
we'll
one.
garnish.
Bum, bum, bum. Three. And then we're going to go 1, 2, 3.
Very beautiful.
Oh, since we have one, we'll throw that one in
Say.
there too. So there you go. You have an absolutely beautiful classic French technique
It really is.
with all the wonderful flavors with the oyster and oyster liquor.
Yes.
And then you have these crispy oysters that you can kind of dip into it while you're eating the soup.
Yeah, because I think that combination of textures really is exciting for the palate, right? It's gonna and it's just gonna be delicious.
It really
Yeah.
is. So I think we've done real good with
Let's eat it.
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
Okay, one thing we could do, before we finish up with our hooch section. It was so much fun down at Oyster Festival. There's so much going on. You have the king and queen of the Oyster Festival.
Right?
You have the shucking competitions. You have, I mean, people come from everywhere
They
for
really
this thing.
do.
So that was so much fun. So why don't we take a look at that, and so everybody can see where we were and what we did.
Let's do it.
Mike, I love it. We're right here where the oyster competition happens
Yep.
at the cook-off, the big cook-off.
Yep.
But it's also a massive operation, and it's an oyster festival. Tell me a little bit about the history of the oyster festival. How did it happen?
This tradition of oysters goes back that far that we wanted to highlight the oyster. And we also had the watermen looking for a thing to do because they want to keep the oyster they want to keep it going. So they're here with fried oysters.
Yeah.
The Watermen's Association does fried oysters. The Optimist Clubs does shucked raw oysters. It really is a community event.
Well, we have been fascinated by it, and I love the fact that all this goes back, what you do raise goes back to the community.
Absolutely.
Right here,
Absolutely.
you're supporting our local farmers,
Yes.
our agricultural community,
Yes.
our oystermen. My grandfather was an oysterman in
Absolutely.
Virginia.
Yep.
We have been walking around, we've been talking to folks and visiting, and just incredible.
All right, you ready to finish this up?
Yes.
Okay, well, we usually try to have something that's locally crafted to finish off the show. Sometimes it's artisan people who do kombucha or, all kinds of things. And we usually like to do a drink, a cocktail, because as here's Mary. Mary, we're making this for you. Our nerves are shot by the end of the show. I mean, have you seen all the stuff we're going? We had things on fire.
We've been busy.
There was stuff. So anyway, we're going to do a little cocktail.
Okay. I'm in.
And so this is actually a tequila, and it's Los Hermanos tequila, and Donna Henson and his brother William. Now they are the city's first Black and veteran-owned tequila crafters.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love
it.
it.
And so they do just an amazing job. And do you like tequila?
I do.
I got a whiff of this earlier, and this is really a first-rate tequila.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can just tell by the whole thing. All right, so we call this a Smoky Apple Cider Margarita. So again, we're in the holidays, right around the fall, and we have the lovely apple ciders from everywhere around here. So, all right, we have taken some beautiful cinnamon and sugar.
Yep.
And then I'm going to take just a little bit. You could use flaky sea salt, or I'm going to use a little bit of a Celtic sea salt, because I'm an Irish kind of guy, I am, for God's sake. And so we're just going to take and mix all that up. So you have cinnamon, sugar, a little bit of saltiness,
sweet and
right?
salty at the same time.
And then we're going to rim the cup.
Yeah, we are.
So you had a brilliant idea, because it's going to have maple syrup in it.
Right.
Just dip it.
Yeah,
There.
we need something to make that loveliness stick to the glass.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, pretty.
Look at that. Okay, we have one.
One.
And then we have
Whoops-a-daisy.
two.
It's two.
Going to dip that in there. So that's one for you. This is going to be one for me. And then we're going to make one for Mary.
Mary.
We're not letting you out. We're going to send this over via the television waves. Okay, there we go. We have our three rim that.
Beautiful.
Okay, so now we're going to take our tequila and we're going to put it in. So it takes about 2 ounces per
drink.
So there we have one drink. There we have 2 drinks. There we have one for Mary and one for the pot.
Exactly.
Okay, there we go. Lovely. And then we're going to have some orange liqueur, and we're going to use the Cointreau, okay? So this will be enough for 2, if I fill this one here. And then just about a half of that again to get our orange flavor in there.
Yum.
And then I'm going to take some apple cider and put that in there as well, like so. And then we're going to put a little bit of lime juice in.
Fresh squeeze.
We could even squeeze some of our own there, like that. And to finish it off, we just need a little tiny bit of maple syrup.
And we were saying if you had a smoky maple syrup, that would be
That would
fabulous.
be very cool.
Or if you don't.
Oh, here, I'm going to do this over the sink, because this is going to be a little scary.
I'm standing back.
It usually is when I do these things. All right, we're shaking it up. Here we go. I'm coming back.
Okay.
I'm coming back. We're shaking this thing up here. Oh, Lord.
And you put ice cubes in there, so it's good and
Yeah,
cold.
yeah, there's ice
Good and
cubes in
cold.
here. We're shaking it up, getting nice cold. All right, now we have to do get the thing off of here.
Yep.
Come on. Ah, lovely.
Ooh.
Look at that.
Yep.
Beautiful, frothy. We're going to take our little strainer here as like so. And we're just going to take and pour like one and like a 2 and then like a 3 like that there. How you like that, huh? How you like them
Beautiful.
apples?
Gorgeous. Literally.
Gorgeous.
Apples.
Okay. And then we have some garnish, do we not?
We do. We have some
you gonna-
beautiful local apples.
We're going to garnish that with some of those. Okay.
We put them right in the floaters there.
Float those in there.
Yeah.
And then we have some rosemary sprigs. Lovely. Give you all kinds of different fragrances going on there.
And then
And then we actually have some of
cinnamon sticks.
that. So you want smoky? You want smoky?
Oh, we're giving you
Come
smoky.
on, Gwen.
Okay, let's do
We're
this.
gonna give you smoky.
Ready?
Oh, Lord. Okay. So we just take a little bit of the cinnamon stick. Get that burning up a little bit there.
Smells
you
good.
can actually smell that.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just going to put cinnamon stick in for a little smoky there.
That's one.
And another one in for there. And I think
Before it
we have it.
burns my fingers.
Okay. All right.
All right, you ready to try this?
Smells good, doesn't it?
It does.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
And cheers to Mary. We missed you this evening. We really did. And we want you all to give this a whirl.
Yes.
And check out our kind of locavore tequila.
Let's try it.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
That is good.
Delish.
That is absolutely delicious. It is. So, as usual, I always have to do my disclaimer right now. I'm getting ready to say goodbye, but I do not want you to unplug your computers or anything like
Right,
that.
it's time for Q&A.
Yeah, because we're going to have a great Q&A, and actually we're hoping that Mary will be able to pull herself out of the bed to come so she can talk to you about while we were down there. First of all, Gwen, thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, thanks
thank
for having
you so
me.
much for coming up and hanging out with us and for hosting us while we were down there. It really was one of the nicest experiences I've ever had down the Oyster Festival.
sweet.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And of course, there's many other people to thank. We have to thank Harford County Public Library, the whole team up there that make everything come together. And our Common Table production team with Louie and the whole gang, making this look good, or trying to make us look good. You know, it's not always easy, is it? And and everybody who also helped. We had a lot of help down at the Oyster Festival as well. They were great. They got us hotel rooms. They showed us around. They rolled out the red carpet. So we want to thank everyone there too. We also, as always, like to thank the Maryland's Best program and Maryland's Best Seafood, because Maryland does have some of the best seafood in the entire world. It really, really does. So we have a pretty cool place. So
We absolutely do.
we
Yes.
really do. And also make sure that you join us next month in December, because we're going to have sweet treats from around the world. We have some really cool people that are going to be with us, local chefs, but both bringing different kinds of takes on it. Chocolate and classic French.
Sounds great for gifts and entertaining.
And that's exactly
right?
what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So once again, thank all of you. And we always thank you also for just inviting us into your home and to hang out with us. And if you ever want to help us get out there a little bit more, please tell all your friends, your family, everyone you know about Chesapeake Farm and Bay to Table, and tell them to sign up to come and watch and hang out with us. And after you do that on the World Wide Web, get over to No Time to Cook and check out Gwen and take a little trip down to Solomon's Island. Okay, so we're going to have Q&A in just a minute, but until then, good night. Thank you very much.
Well, hello, everyone. That was fabulous, John. I'm still laughing about so many things. What a great show. And of course, my favorite topic, oysters. Just amazing and fabulous. And we've had a lot of feedback from everybody who's watching tonight, too. So, Gwen, Awesome job.
I had a great time, but I was so sorry that you weren't there, Mary.
That's what happens when you get a flu shot and the COVID booster shot in the same day and you do not have a positive reaction. So all well now.
We missed you, Mary. We missed you so much. We really did.
Well, at least we got to experience the Oyster Fest, which I have to, anyone who's watching this, please try to attend next year. It truly is an amazing day. I didn't know it was even around until John was talking about judging, and to watch the cooking that's going on and just the evaluations of it, because it's a team that works on it. And, shout out to the local Rotary, because they're the ones who put it on down in St. Mary's County. And I'm a Rotarian, so we're always proud of something that's very successful. And we do have a couple questions for you too. So, Gwyn, the first one's for you. Everybody loved your tip about the muffin tins. Doing the dressing in the muffin tin. So
Yeah.
So the question is, if you went down that route, would you grease the muffin tins first? Would you use like a butter or cooking spray? And then what would you do with the leftover dressing if you didn't have enough tins?
Exactly. Good question. Yes, you absolutely want to grease the muffin tins. You could just give it a spray with, canola oil. If you wanted, you could even use cupcake liners if you really, really didn't want to clean up after the fact. But just make as many as you want. And then if there's leftover, just put it in something like we did with John's cornbread oyster stuffing, and just put it in a larger loaf pan and bake it off.
All right, great, awesome. Sounds yummy. All right, this is from Marisa, and this is for you, John. Oyster stew is or was a dish we always had as a family for New Year's Eve. Is there any historical reason for this tradition, and is it a Maryland-specific regional thing?
Well, yeah, I think it's definitely a Maryland regional thing, and it's quite valid. I think that the tradition around the holidays is that was kind of peak oyster harvesting season. Oysters were so good when the Chesapeake waters are really cold, and it just has become a tradition around the Chesapeake to have oysters, whether for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, all throughout the entire holiday. I think I was saying before to some friends that if I had to go to a holiday party and I didn't know many people, I would just take a whole box of oysters with me, a shucking knife and a little tray here, and just start shucking oysters. You meet people very quickly. And the thing about the oyster stew in Maryland has evolved, as most dishes have over the years. In the olden days, it was so simple. It essentially was milk and oysters. That's all it was. Even before that, the guys that were out working the watermen would actually just shuck some oysters into a pot with either a little bit of water or a little bit of bay water and some salt and pepper, and that's all they did. But then it evolved into using milk, and then some people started making a roux with a little bit of butter, a little bit of flour, so that when you put the milk in or the cream in and you stirred it in slowly, it would thicken just a little bit. You don't want it thick, but it would just give a little bit of body. And so it is one of those, great Chesapeake traditions. Even if you go further south around Virginia, Norfolk, the Smithfield hams, they would often shave some of that, chop it up, and put it in with the stew. So you're getting the oysters and a little saltiness of the ham. So yeah, let's let that tradition continue here around Maryland and the Chesapeake.
Oh, I love it. All right, here's a question, I think for both of you, and you touched a little bit on it. You talked about the leeks and how the sand and the grit and how they grow and they get dirty. So do you put the entire leek and just soak it in water for like 15, 20 minutes? Or should you, I guess, unpeel it and dunk it in the water and let it sit? What is there a preferred way of preparing the leeks?
Gwyn, do you want to start that?
You definitely want to cut, like John cut it in half, and then he mentioned that he likes to cut it into, maybe quarters after that. And I think that's a great idea and then pull apart those layers. It is in the onion family, so it has layers upon layers, and that dirt and that grit gets in them, and then pull them apart and put them in cold water in the sink. Just kind of plug up the sink and fill it up and let it sit there, and all of that debris will ultimately settle down. But agitate it every once in a while so that it sort of hastens that process, and they'll clean up really nicely. But yeah, it is, that's not a vegetable that you want to rush through because it is really, those cracks and crevices hold that dirt.
They do indeed. So yeah, I do the same thing. I just soak them in cold water, and then sometimes I do a change of water, do it a couple of times, because you don't want that grit in there. But I tell you, once you have a well-cleaned leek and you go through that process, and then you put it in any kind of dish, especially a soup or a stew, it's well worth the effort.
Right.
It is. Yeah, it's so elegant.
It is so elegant. Plus, it really adds that specialness to it, whatever you're making. All right, here's a good question about egg wash. We talked about egg wash tonight, and then John, you started talking about how you added the oyster water to the egg wash. So the question is an egg wash just a pure egg yolk, the whites of the yolk, is water added to it, or somebody thought you said about the oyster juice going into it? So can it be more than just an egg?
Well, let me walk back. Gwyn and I were talking about different ways to make fried oysters. So one of the ways that you can make an egg fried oyster is with an egg wash. And then when they're talking about, it's really about just taking some eggs and whisking them up. So you have eggs, and then you have flour, seasoned flour. So you could take the oyster, put it into the egg, which they call an egg wash, but it's really just beaten eggs. Then you put it into the flour, and so that it will adhere better. But what I did, and the recipe that I was showing people, is one that's, I think, even more simple. So there is no egg at all. I look at the oyster liquor as my egg element. They're in oyster liquor already. I just take them right from there into the very well seasoned flour, toss them, shake it off, and into real hot oil. And it's just crisp. It's beautiful. It's nothing to it.
Right. And it was hot. I remember Gwyn said that it had to be hot.
Very. It was hot. We made a huge mess in your kitchen.
It's still on the ceiling, actually, Gwyn.
Oh, gosh.
Oh,
All right. Well, we have another question. You use the submersible blender or the immersion blender. Is there a difference between a submersible blender and an immersion blender? And is one preferred over the other for any particular reason?
I'd say they're the same thing, really, wouldn't you, John? An immersion blend, we call them immersion blenders. Yeah, it's just literally or a stick blender, and you just one hand and you pop it in the pot like you did. And they're very, very inexpensive, really. They're very reasonable. And it is life-changing in the kitchen, quite frankly. Because again, normally you'd have to cool it down a little bit, put it in a blender or a food processor and hope the top didn't, blow off, and cleaning soup off of the ceiling kind of thing. So immersion blenders are amazing.
They are. They're life-changing in the kitchen. In the restaurant, we have the immersion blender that's like several feet long, that can go down into a 20 or 30 gallon pot, when you're doing a lot. Because I remember as a young cook and doing any kind of refined soup like that, I had the blender, like you said. And so you have that 20 gallons and you're doing one blender at a time, hoping you don't scald yourself and put things over top of it. So thank the dear Lord for the immersion blender.
I love mine. I'm on my second one. I've already went through one because I used it so often. My youngest daughter told me about it and just love it.
They're the best.
All right, we have a question about the tequila. Do you know where that can be purchased locally?
Oh.
I think that there's a number of different outlets, liquor stores. I mean, I know Wine Source in Baltimore City carries it. And I mean, you would just probably have to call usually like a local liquor distributor is best because there's many of them and every neighborhood, every, city has them that are really proud of everything from Maryland. And so you'll find a lot of Maryland wines, you'll find Maryland beers, you'll find Maryland spirits. And so they definitely can find it.
Okay, and I think we posted the website. Thank you, Beth, for doing that for the brand. So you can find out more information directly from them. And then we have, this is my favorite question. Don't laugh at this, Gwyn. There's a story about this. So John, can you cook and fry oysters in the air fryer?
Darn it, I bet you could. I bet you could. I mean, you have the air fryer preheat it and you do the same thing and then put it in there. Now, I think, because I'm always nervous about these things. So I think I still might, once I take the oyster from the liquor, put it into the flour, I may just give it a little spitz of, Pam or something like that, just so there's a tiny bit, a whisper of oil around it to put it into the air fryer. And I think it would fry up very nicely. And you would be using, like 1/32 of the amount that you would have really frying them. Right. And Mary, that will be on our air fryer show. The special episode people have been waiting for a couple years. It's going to be a big special, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to love it when Mary and I do our air fryer show.
Yes, we have the list growing of the things we're going to attempt to cook.
That's going to be fun. I'm excited for that one.
I'm up for that, Gwen. We'll have a great time.
Okay. Do you have an air fryer, John?
I do.
And do you use it much?
When Mary's here.
When Mary brings it up.
Certain things are great in it. And some certain things, you got to tweak a little bit, but it's certainly a healthier way to go. I get that.
What do you like best in your air fryer? You
know what I've been making lately? Gnocchi, if you can even believe it.
Wow.
Yes, because I don't like a slippery gnocchi. I like a little crunch to it. So when you put it in the air fryer, you get a nice crunch on it.
Do you have to blanch it and then air fry it, or can you do it right from
either frozen or freshly made? Either way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to try it. This is going to be on the air fryer show.
Okay.
Well, I think that was all the questions we have. I just want to remind everyone that Wednesday, December 14th is our next episode. It's Sweet Treats from Around the World. We are visiting a chocolatier, a local bakery. It should be a lot of fun. And of course, holidays are coming. So put on your list your blender that you would like to receive and your air fryer, of course, to ready. And again, I want to thank Gwyn for being with us tonight and for hosting us. That entire weekend was just fabulous. And I want to thank the Oyster Festival folks, the Rotary, for really putting on an amazing, amazing festival that's been around for a very long time. And kudos to them. And of course, to John always for the recipes, for making it fun and really just opening our world up to different ways of cooking, keeping it simple and fun, but also learning more about this wonderful state that we live in that some of us may not have been aware of.
Yeah. We're fortunate. We're fortunate to live in this state. And Gwyn and I just wanted to do a public service announcement quickly to everybody out there. Get your calendars out and mark down October 21st and 22nd of 2023. That will be the next U.S. Oyster Festival down in Leonardtown, Maryland, in St. Mary's County. And we will be out there and encouraging everyone to enter this year. We want to get more and more people to enter this cook-off. You could be the next winner of the U.S. Oyster Cook-Off. So we'll be back and we'll remind you, but put it on your calendar, October 21st and 22nd.
And you do not need, or you don't have to be a professional chef to enter. This is for amateurs. This is for people like us, which is really amazing too. And then you can watch the oyster shuckers go head to head, and they do compete internationally. The top winner goes on to compete internationally. So
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Be safe. And by the way, do get your flu shot and your COVID boosters. I was just an abnormal result to that. That was not normal with everyone else. And we will see you on the 14th.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.